Bonjour and welcome to the Red Lake Nation College Gikendaasowin Podcast. Join us each week for discussions on topics including culture and language, career exploration, RLNC student spotlights, student project, and other RLNC services. This week we have interviews conducted by RLNC students for Professor Tom Hokanson's Spring 2022 Cultural Geography class. Red Lake Nation College would like to thank the National Endowment for Humanities for the generous support in the creation of this podcast.
Hello, I'm Dr. Thomas Hokanson, and I teach social and behavioral science courses at Red Lake Nation College. Today you will be listening to interviews that students in my cultural geography course conducted with parents, elders, or other community members. The goal was to record life experiences from the past. I hope you enjoy them.
Bonjour, today is May 1st, 2022. I am here with my grandmother, Carol May. My name is Sadie, Kingbird. We're going to start the interview. Okay. So, did you grow up in Red Lake all your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always lived here, except I went away to school in 9th and most of 10th grade. Went to school in Marty, South Dakota.
Oh, what? Marty, South Dakota?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, it was okay. Just got lonely after a while. Though in 10th grade, I said, I'm going to go stay home.
Move back?
Can I stay home? Yeah, you can stay home.
What kind of things did you do, like, outside when you played?
We were in the summertime, we spent all day long at the lake, swimming and hanging out with our neighborhood kids. But yeah, we swam a lot, and after our chores were done, which was hanging nets, cleaning fish, cleaning the house, getting everything done, and then we'd be on our own. And we'd get to go swim or
It was
with
like
our friends.
Big families back then too, huh?
Yeah, there was a lot of kids around our age, and plus we had a lot of relatives our age, but we all didn't live around each other, so we just played with whoever was close.
And you guys would just like walk and bike everywhere too, huh?
Yeah, but I didn't have a bike, so I had to walk.
What about like movie theaters and things like that? Wasn't there one in Red Lake?
Yeah, there was one, but it was in Redby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we'd walk. My mom would drop us off in Redby to go to the movie, and then we'd walk home.
Oh yeah.
We'd get home about midnight.
That's
Walking
just cute
from Redby in the dark. It was kind of, I guess we didn't get scared because we'd have like Karen and Ruth. And
you guys would have each other.
yeah, plus a couple of friends from Redby would walk us home. Come all the way up here and walk us home, then they'd go back.
Oh, for real? What is it, like 2 miles?
Almost 5.
Oh yeah, almost 5. That's right. I remember walking that with you.
Yeah.
What was that, Million Miles Against Diabetes?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of fishing, but by hand, not like today where there's machines that can
Oh,
do
yeah.
it all. It was a lot of hard work.
Yeah, we didn't. They still did a lot of cleaning in Redby at the fishery, but people would do it. They didn't have machines to do it. And I never worked down there, but I did a lot of work at home. Cleaning fish, hanging nets, and even going along out in the lake to go set nets. Yeah.
Isn't there a little trail too?
Yeah, there's a little path right over there going down sideways, but it's all grown over, and it's all full of rocks down there. Plus, the graves are down there. Can't really But we cleaned it out over here. We're going to try and make a stairway down there.
Oh, that'd be nice. Because what, you can drive back there, right?
We don't have to. It's just right there.
Yeah.
We just pull up right there. Yeah. And then growing up, we had a garden back here, right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff would you guys grow?
We had everything like potatoes and carrots, radishes, corn, and rutabagas.
And you guys had like the whole grocery store, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. We'd have to come clean the garden. Do all that. Plus, then in the fall, we'd have to pick choke cherries for Grandma.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So she could make choke cherry jelly and jam. And then we'd pick raspberries, blueberries for her. And she'd make all her jams. And
Like around here, huh?
Nice. We just walked across the road over there. Right around Barton's there. That's where we picked a lot of berries. There were no houses back there. Just JR's. That house wasn't there, but there was an old house there.
Oh, okay. So that was all just trees and...
All of it was all trees, no houses. Nobody lived back there. And all the way down to Red Bay, we could walk all the way back and not need a car.
Those seem like way more simpler.
Yeah,
But it was a lot of hard work though, huh?
Yeah, because we didn't have running water right away, so my dad dug a well around the corner over here down the road, and we'd have to walk down there and haul water. Put a rope down there with our pail and scoop up the water and take it home.
How many pails do you think you guys would take back?
Probably about two pails, and or either we'd have to go. There was a pump, like a community pump down the road over there where John lives right now. But you just drove in there like that, and there was people would go over there and get their water.
So that was kind of like, that was all over then.
People would use cream cans, they called them.
What do they call them?
Cream cans.
Cream cans?
Yeah, they're tall metal cans with covers that farmers used for milk, but we used them for water. And then they didn't have refrigerators, so they dig a hole in the ground and put something down there and cover it up so your butter and milk and stuff wouldn't spoil.
Right. It's like no electricity either.
Yeah, we didn't even have electricity right away either.
What did you guys use?
We used those kerosene.
I think there was one at the old house still there, right? Yeah. See, that's history right there. You can hang it up somewhere. Just kidding.
Yeah, I know. We found some old traps and stuff over there.
Oh, yeah. Trapping, too. Huh? Did you ever have to skin animals?
Yeah. I skinned a lot of muskrats in my life.
Man. And I never skinned anything.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I would do, though. I didn't have to do mink or beaver. But I'd have to, in the summer, go help tack up the beaver. You'd put it on a big sheet, plywood sheet, and you'd tack it up, make it round to dry it.
What would that be used for then?
He would sell them, and then to the buyer around here, and then they would sell them, and then they would make hats and gloves and coats, whatever.
Nice.
Yeah. But we never had fur coats around here. We just caught the furs, or Grandpa did.
See, that would have been cool to see.
Yeah. And then in the fall, they log, we'll cut trees down and sell them.
Logging was pretty big back here then too, huh?
Yeah. Here.
Just start going off.
We're ready. Hi, this is Amos Weise. Today is May 1, 2022, and I am here conducting an interview of Darwin Sumner, a Red Lake enrollee, and this is for a cultural geography podcast, which will be conducted by Dr. Thomas Hokanson, and we'll get right into the interview because I have Darwin here now. And I have a little format which I was going to use to interview Mr. Sumner. And he can ad-lib or he can add whatever he wants to in this interview. So it'll be structured somewhat by my outline, but he's gonna probably veer off of the of the questionnaire. So it's at his own discretion. Okay, let's start. Do you or anybody in your family speak fluent Ojibwe Moen?
My grandfather Joe Kay used to, and then my dad, I never heard him speak a word, hardly ever. So, growing up with my dad, I didn't learn very much from them, just around the tables when we'd eat a lot, suppers and...
So it was just a word here and there sporadically. You never really had any really sentence structure put together so you would be able to speak fluently.
And when I was growing up with my grandpa Joe Kay, he would always speak, and then as I got older, you just kind of forget about them times I was growing up with him, and I forgot everything he says, and being at such a young age.
You don't listen.
Well, I was the only child with him.
Oh.
With him and my grandma Maudley, and we lived in Little Rock.
Right.
And I can still remember her cooking, the old stoves and wood stoves. She'd be standing there and cooking, and he'd be singing on his hand drum.
Oh, right.
And then they would talk a lot. It's kind of, I still remember that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, even as a child, you don't forget that kind of.
Did he have a name for you then? Did you have an Ojibwe name?
Not at that time, no.
Okay, but you do have one?
Yeah, I got one now.
Okay, nice. I was going to say, do you know your Ojibwe lineage other than through your grandparents? And how far back?
My chief side goes back, I don't know, beyond 200 years, And
Right.
starting with my dad, and then his brother, George Dumpy Sumner, but in between my dad and George was George's son named Gary, and then Joe Kay, of course,
Right.
and William Sumner, and then Muskokine Jr. I call him Muskokine Jr. because Mustang was Muskokine Senior.
Oh.
And that's as far as I know going there.
Okay. Yeah.
If I tried to say something else, I'd just be guessing, So.
Yeah. Yeah. We were taught about moose dung over in Thief River Falls, in that area.
Yeah.
In, history class.
When my grandpa Joe Kay, my dad used to go to Thief River. My grandpa Joe Kay was always going there to talk about getting Muskokine's name changed because he thought Mustang was a little disrespectful.
Right.
But everybody in Indian country has a nickname.
But that was probably I would guess, English equivalent of, but there was probably no, I would say, negative connotation to it at that time, but like there is today.
Yeah, I can't tell you. If I did, I'd just be guessing. So
Yeah.
my theory was everybody has a nickname. I mean,
Right.
All my close friend, I don't even know their real name. I just call him by nickname because he asked me, well, what's his name? Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember.
Right.
We all know each other by nicknames, you know. But my grandpa, when I remember some really good times with them. And we had horses and cows and pigs and chickens and everything, you know, to be self-sufficient there.
Right.
And we had I live in Little Rock right now, where I live across the creek from where I grew up with him. And he trained these 2 dogs to help me to get water from the creek. And a couple big cream cans that hooked up the dogs, and we walked down and I'd fill them up. And then one day he says, don't get that water no more. He says, there's somebody that moved in by the road, so we can't drink that water or use the water. Then after that, we got a hand pump well put in. I remember one time I walked down a creek and I was gonna get water, and I seen something like shuffling under the water, under the culvert there. Mm-hmm. And I was curious, and I stuck my hand in there, and boy, something bit me hard. And I couldn't get it off. It was hurting too bad. And I ran up to the house, and my grandpa was, what's wrong? He's laughing a beat hell at me, and I go, why is he laughing so hard? This thing hurts. Get it off me. And my grandma come out, and she was laughing, and she tried to hide her laughter from me. But man, it was a crayfish, a great big crayfish, stuck on my finger. I'll never forget that.
So you pretty much had lived on like a family homestead? You lived with your grandparents?
Yeah, I lived with my grandpa Joe Kane, Model A, for I think till I was about 5. And then I moved to Red Lake with Lorena and Harry Hansen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's where life got interesting. It was a whole, I was used to like being able to help my grandpa and my grandma, and around with the animals, feeding the animals and everything. And that was a whole different lifestyle. Everybody drank. Everybody drank. And so I don't think I didn't really like that kind, but it was the best I had.
Right.
I had all my uncles there, but everybody drank. It was like a social thing, and then kind of. So when I was growing up there, we had the lake right there, and then we had the woods and cornfield, and we'd hunt everything along the lake there. So I kind of stuck to myself, and just it seemed like the woods was my safe place, or I felt better there instead of being around people who drank all the time, because it just wasn't my thing. It's like, man, these guys they change when they drink.
Yeah. It was a sign of the times.
Yeah.
We live in a whole different world than what they did in the Depression and oppression. The people were living in a whole different world than what we do these days, and we have more choices.
Yeah, and so to kind of fit into things and be more comfortable there, I asked my grandpa to buy me some horses, because I was used to being around horses, and that was when I got horses. Then life got better, because I could always depend on my horse to. It's just like a healing thing, with horses. And riding all over the res, going to see other people who had horses and stuff. And I would end up in like Redby, and they'd have to come find me, at night I'd just sleep at somebody's house. And
Is that from your Moose Dung side? Because they were pretty much Plains Indians over on the western part of that reservation as it existed in those days?
yeah, because growing up with my grandpa Joe K, he had all these cool animals and stuff, and they're just like part of the family, and
Right.
and but I used to remember we'd have them big old horses, and they'd have these crank up. You used to have to start these cars by cranking them. Remember them ones?
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes they wouldn't start; they'd get stuck. The horses would have to pull them out and stuff.
Yeah,
Can I tell you a good story about my grandpa?
sure.
So when he passed when I joined the army, I was in boot camp. They didn't tell me because they knew I would have come back and not went back, right? But when when they lived close to the road in Little Rock there, he used to walk to town a lot, and he got so he couldn't see very good anymore, and he kind of lost his sight. And so when they built the tar roads, then he'd feel the side of the road with his foot and take off walking. And he got hit a couple times by cars.
Oh,
But it never stopped him.
right.
He just get up and again. And
Okay, let's move into a different aspect and talk about your education. I know you started with Lorena Cook, and she's a Hanson. And start talking about your educational background, and you even went into the Army. And could you expand on those aspects a little bit more?
yeah, when in elementary school in Red Lake, I went to elementary school and junior high and high school in Red Lake, and I always tell my grandma that my first big hurdle in life was to get to Alaska. Well, my first journey was at 12 years old when I took off hitchhiking to Minneapolis, and I wanted to do some exploring, and I got my chance. So I took off hitchhiking with my buddy Sadie Jones, Kenneth. And we owned a restaurant up in Red Lake called Weise. Remember that one?
No, I don't.
Okay, so we owned it there, and we had a pool hall there, and I was feeling my oats, and I wanted to go explore. And told my grandma, I'm gonna hitchhike with my buddy Sack to Minneapolis. She said, "Okay, bye, see you later. Get the hell out of here." Well, ain't you gonna give me any money? She gave me $5. Here, get the hell out of here. And so we went to Minneapolis, and that $5 bought us a couple burgers at Embers when we got close to Minneapolis, and so I was staying with Saki's mom, and I forget her name. She was really a nice old lady, nice woman to me, and I got caught stealing some meat right across the street. They lived on 3rd and Franklin. I got caught stealing, and the guy caught me and says, "You know what?" He says, "I can call the cops and put you in jail, or you can work it off." I said, "I'll work it off." So I cleaned up and everything, and then he says, "How old are you?" I said, 16. I was only 12. And he says, "You're old enough for day labor." He says, "I got a buddy at day labor. Do you want to work?" I said, "Yeah." So I go to the day labor place to meet this guy, and he says, "Yeah, I got a position open. It just opened up." I said, "What are they doing there?" "Doing traveling salesman." I said, "Okay." Okay, we'll give it a shot. Okay. And that was so fun doing that stuff. I made $15 a day. And I was just getting into a rhythm, paying my bills and buying my own clothes. And I'd pay Saxma $5, because I made $15 a day. I said, "Here, have." And then one day I made the mistake of opening the door. I was knocking on the door. They said, "Don't answer the door," but I did that day. And there was my grandma standing there. And she says, "Okay, Skidoo, come on. Got to go to school in a couple of days." "What? What are you talking about?" "Wait a minute, hold up here." I said, man, I got a job, Grandma. I'm doing good here. And it's kind of like this. No, you're only 12 years old. Come on. Got to go to school. Oh, shit. Okay, so. And then my uncle, Baby Pat, was with her. And I've been looking for him all summer. All summer.
Baby Pat?
Yeah.
He's my cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lorena and them are my cousins too.
Yeah. We used to always go over Amos's back town. But, yeah, that was my first journey. And then, so I used to always get this Alaska book and read that. And man, that was my number one thing in life. I got to get to Alaska. So on my 18th birthday, I was just getting out of school for the year, my 11th grade. And I was kind of partying in Bemidji, and I got stuck down there. So Red Lakers used to always go to town and SNL and Woolworths and all this stuff. And I figured I'll go down and look for a ride, And I went downtown and I passed this. And I used to smoke cigarettes when I was young. And there was this door open. I could smell a cigarette coming out of there. And I'm going to go bum a cigarette. And went in there and there's a couple of guys sitting there. And I bummed a cigarette and start walking out. And there's this big sign on the door that says, Alaska, we can get you there. And I'm saying, what's the sign mean? Can you get me there? And he says, yeah. I said, what is it? He says, well, we're Army recruiters. And I says, okay, what I got to do? He says, all you do is sign up. And I said, when can I leave? He says, when do you want to leave? I said, I'll leave today if we can do it. So I signed up, and 3 months later I was gone because I hurt my knee, and I couldn't go in until my knee was healed. And then we went to boot camp, and my grandpa Joe K passed, and ended up in Alaska. That's where I always wanted to go. And I was telling this young lady here that it was always I got paid to go do my adventure, Man, it was so fun up there. But I went up there to climb mountains and do some exploring. And I climbed mountains till I fell. And fractured my back. Fell about 40, 45 feet. But I was rappelling, and then I fell and fractured my back. And that was the end of the climbing days. But yeah, we were... I was really good friends with a guy from Boise, Idaho, Jesse Adamson, and we were by Nome, Alaska, and we were out in a position. We were, having war games and stuff, and I told him that evening I heard an owl way the heck over there. I says, "Oh man, I hope this thing doesn't come towards me," and. All night we sat there and I said, dang, this thing's coming towards me. This owl kept coming towards me. And then it got close to me by daybreak, and it was sitting in the only tree in the whole horizon that I could see was out here. And that owl told me something in this. Yeah, I kind of figured that. And my CEO come by and says, "Hey Sumner, come on, I gotta take you. Gotta make a phone call." I said, "Yeah, I already know why." He says, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." So they took me to the CP, and they had a one of them phones that you could call, and you could get a hold of people, and my grandma's on her. I says, "Yeah, I already know why." I said, "Baby Pat died." And she says, "How'd you know that?" I said, that owl will come all night. He told me. And that's what happened.
Yeah. Pat Winnell came and told me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty, and then you start to realize there's something more to everything around you that, there's a lot more. Even when I was young, I kind of felt that, I know that sounds kind of, how do you say, but no, it really is. It's a feeling that you carry with you, or it's like
intuition, whatever.
And, like maybe past relatives that are with you or something, always watching over you, or, guiding you, or so to speak, So.
Your family have any siblings? Do you have any children?
I let me talk about my siblings. I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and what I got left, 2 sisters I got left.
Okay.
My 3 brothers, my youngest one just passed a couple months ago.
John.
Yeah, John. And I got a son and a daughter, and 2 grandchildren. Yeah, 63 years old.
And Julie. Hey.
Julie. Yeah, I'm married yet.
Yeah. Okay, are there any other closing perspectives that you would like to expand upon in your own personal philosophy?
I think what I just said right there was
that pretty much summed it up.
Yeah. That's the best I could say about, how us as Indian people should treat each other instead of adopting European style.
Which
How they think sometimes about how they make money. It's like, man, how do you guys live with yourself and doing that to people?
Right.
I want to share a story about the migration. I knew this old Earl Holmes, and he's the one who told me that. He says, I'm going to take you to where we come from. Well, we never made it, right? We never made it, him and I, because he passed on.
Right.
And I got a chance to go moose hunting up over in Red Bank, New Brunswick, where Mi'kmaq are people up there. And I get close to Red Bank. I think it was Akwesasne, New York. And that night when I slept before we took off, he come to me and says, "Yeah, he double should." So.
Yeah, and I used to know Earl and Tinker.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Those were the type of people that learned from, and they knew a lot about the Ojibwe ways and spoke the language and everything.
Yeah.
They were good teachers. Okay, this should be conclusion of our interview. And then, all right, thank you. Thank you, Darwin.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Be sure to join us next week as we hear from RLNC students and their interviews related to food sovereignty from Dr. Wendy Greenberg's Spring 2022 Environmental Science class.
A miigwech to the following for their efforts in the creation of this Red Lake Nation College Gikendaasowin Podcast episode. Opening and closing music by Director of Equity, Cultural Education, and Archives, Floyd Buck Jourdain. Opening introduction and closing preview by Recruitment and Retention Coordinator and Director of Social Media, Michael Whitecloud. Student introduction by RLNC instructor, Dr. Thomas Hokanson. Our students host this episode, Sadie Kingbird and Amos Weise. Our guest speakers this episode, Carol May and Darwin Sumner. Production by Innovation Center Coordinator, Brandon Spears. And the National Endowment for Humanities for their generous support. Miigwech, and have a good day.